Can you tell me the qualities you look for in an au pair?
I think qualities that we look for in au pair for our family specifically is, someone who's honest and genuine, because they'll be living with us for a year. We're going to be very close, we're going to be very close with each other. We'll be living in our home. We want to be able to, be comfortable with each other. So I think it's important to have that open communication, telling host families how you feel, and host families communicating to the all pairs as well, about how the culture here is different and how we do things here in America, and of course the all pair being open minded, about how American families do things differently.
Mm.
um and then what else? I'm trying to think. I think absolutely, loving children, obviously. You're going to be with kids from a baby or older. So I think, like making sure that all parents know like what age they're comfortable with of the children, like
Yeah.
do they like being with older children? Are they better at like tutoring? Do they have tutoring skills and they like older kids? Or do they like being with babies? Babies are so cute and you get to watch them grow, because babies grow so fast. So I think an
Mm.
all parent knowing like, okay, what they're comfortable with. And then what else? What qualities? I think someone, being flexible is important
Mm.
as well. Just because sometimes things do happen, kids get sick, families get sick. Being flexible with families, and I think families want to be flexible with all pairs.
Mm.
um, and oh, and absolutely, like I think host families want to know about the culture. I think that's a big
Okay.
thing. This is,
Vietnamese culture.
yeah,
Yeah.
Vietnamese culture. Yeah, this is still, a cultural exchange program. So I think Vietnamese au pairs, being open about, expressing Vietnamese culture to Americans, and then of course American host families, showing au pairs about, American culture.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is actually a very big thing, and I think a lot of au pairs overlook.
Hmm.
Because what we for example me, right, what I used to think was, I was excited to learn about the American culture, but not
Hmm.
the other way around. But then when I was there, I taught my host kid Vietnamese, right? Like count one, two, three, four,
Hmm.
five, and then I taught her how to sing Vietnamese song, baby Vietnamese songs. Oh my God, it was so cute. I still have videos. and I taught her how to eat vegetables like proper Vietnamese. And then her parents were like, "Shit, what did you do? What's wrong?"
I think it's because like when you're an Asian American living in America, like you want to be able to connect with someone who has common things as you. And
Mm,
there's not like big Vietnamese communities, like there's a couple cities that have, a big Vietnamese community, but like where I am, it's I live, primarily with Americans. And
mm.
so, um, and I want to expose our children to Vietnamese culture or Asian culture, so bringing in an all pair is, I think, the best way to do that.
Mm. And also, when you live in a big community, you want to be, you want to have a clearer identity. You don't want to be
Hmm.
like majority of them, right?
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
something different. You want something, like exotic, different, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's very nice. I would have to add that to my training kit for au pair before they go to America. Like bring,
Mhm.
yeah, try to promote Vietnamese culture with the host family and host kid.
Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do. And the first thing is through language. I love languages, so love the kids. I love that the kids can speak Vietnamese, English and
Mhm.
Vietnamese. It's perfect.